In at number 10, we have got the Rex, and I guess I should probably somewhat explain what I mean by natural creatures. And what I mean by natural is they fit into the environment very well, and they are very well suited to the Ark game as well. They're not overly OP and just mess with all of the game balance, and the Rex is kind of a perfect base level example for that. Everyone kind of knows what the Rex is, so it's obviously really going to fit into a dinosaur game, and it's not like Rhino Ganatha level OP, so it's nothing game breaking, which, you know, I always like, and I know loads of people out there like the Rhino Ganatha. I tend to rant on about it a lot, that it's way too OP, but that is just because I come from a more primitive day of Ark, and I kind of prefer the game being somewhat a little bit challenging when you don't really get that too much anymore. But either way, the Rex is going to be your go-to boss creature for pretty much any map, really. There isn't Extinction, it can do it all, and you have the X-Rexes on Gen 1 as well, so you can have an even better Rex. And if you're on ASA, they're an absolute cheat to tame, so I would recommend you get one. They're so easy with that baby mechanic. You just kill the parent, or if the parent's already been killed, you simply just press E on a baby Rex, and then boom, you have yourself a Rex. It's that simple. It's kind of actually a little bit sad how easy the game has become, but still, you know, a very nice creature that fits into a general dinosaur game theme, as it kind of is the world's most popular dinosaur. Next up, we've got the Crystal Wyvern, and this kind of just has to be here as it's on Crystal Isles and it's a Crystal Wyvern. Can you make the connection there? You probably can, can't you? It's literally like the theme of the map, the standout creature, if you will, and although it's a modded version of a previously very well-known creature, I personally think it adds a really nice new spin, and it makes sense, and it works for this creature, and I really like it for that, and I really do appreciate this creature, what it stands for, how you tame it, what it does. Especially with Blood Crystal Wyverns, really useful. They have the hydration buff for some reason as well. Don't really know why. The water one, I'm pretty sure the Blood Crystal Wyvern doesn't. But, you know, they're a fly, they can't even go into water. But, you know, it's the thought that counts, right? You can always dip your wings in there to get that hydration buff, or just dip your toes in if you're on the ground. And there's so many things that you can do with Crystal Wyverns that you couldn't do with normal Wyverns, because they're so much more accessible to the general Ark players due to that much easier taming method. And they just kind of bring a new essence of life to this creature, which we've kind of known it's pretty much been the same, but when these things came out, it was a really new spin on these creatures, which we probably didn't even think about when thinking about, oh, what's going to be next for the Wyvern. We probably didn't even think what was next for the Wyvern, and that's what makes this creature so special. Next up, we've got the Deinonychus, and this is a perfectly fit creature for those chalk hills. I was going to say crystal hills for a second. It's like chalk hills biome or something like that. Chalk cliffs biome, I'm pretty sure is what it's called actually. But yeah, this creature really fits into that map, and also it's a really great creature on top of that as well, which is why I've put it a little bit higher than something like the Crystal Wyvern, because I do prefer this creature a little bit, although maybe the theme isn't quite there as much, as it doesn't lean into it quite as much, as there's no bits of chalk rock sticking out of this thing. I still really think it fits very nicely with the wrap. What am I talking about anymore? I'm rushing things at this point. Either way, it's pretty much like a really great substitute to the Raptor, and you can't really even compare it to that creature because it is so much better. It has the pack buff, it doesn't take full damage. This thing can parkour across the map, and it does bleed damage to bosses, and it just does a heck of a lot of damage. It has a lot of health, a lot of mobility, a lot of weight, and a lot of stamina. So maybe not the most amount of weight that you would carry loads of metal around with, but enough that you can very easily get by. It's not like a Pteranodon's weight, which is kind of outrageously low, but it kind of is deliberately so, because that would be a little bit too OP, and then the RG just wouldn't be a warranted creature. So that's how the game balances itself, and we seem to be lacking that again in New Ark. But this creature is still very balanced. It doesn't break the boundaries in really OP creatures. It does make a few bosses a little bit of a cheese, but I don't feel like it's too easy. In at number 7, we've got the Astrocetus, and this creature just fits so well with its space biome, I kind of have to put it here. And it was such a new, inventive, creative thing. I guess I'll put the Astrodelphis here as well, because they are pretty similar, but the Astrocetus just came first, and it's a really big space whale. It just seems a lot cooler to me. Kind of put the Void Worm here as well. That's a nice another spin on the Wyvern, because I was talking about the Crystal Wyvern earlier, and it really fits with the space theme and with the kind of theme of Gen 1. Yes, it kind of gets into more OP territory as you get into Gen 1 and Gen 2, especially with like the really new creatures that came out now, but like Gen 2's a 2021 thing, so it's getting on like, it'll be 3 years old in the summer, which kind of seems a little bit insane. It might have been 2022. I'm trying to work out my dates. Can you comment that down below, because I'm really not sure anymore. Next up, we got the Bloodstalker, and doesn't this just fit right in with the bog biome on Gen 1? Like, I wouldn't think of any other creature really being in this map, and of course you've got all your Spinos and your Baryonyx and your Sarcos and your Capros and your dreaded insects. I can't remember what they're called now, something, but insect swarms is pretty what they're called, aren't they? Yeah, you got those absolutely horrible things, but no, the Bloodstalker really does fit, again, like all those other creatures, but they were kind of already there, apart from the insect swarms, but that's not going to get a mention, really, on this list for being a really good natural tame, because they are some of the most annoying things, just, you know, one of the reasons why I hate the bog biome, and you should probably just go live in the ocean biome instead. Even though it says hard, you can go on the island and it's easy living. With the Bloodstalker, you kind of turn into bog Spider-Man, I guess. Really terrible joke. Was that joke good? Was it bad? Comment that down below as well. Also, this thing is just such a great underwater tame. For me, it's my favourite underwater creature. Makes sense. Spawns in the bog biome. There's a lot of bog in the bog biome, which means there's some water in the bog biome. So it means it must be a good swimmer, right? And it is. And it's really good at just generally traveling around as well, which really does help this creature out. I love the Bloodstalker. In at number 5, we have got the Rock Drake, and doesn't this really just sit home in Operation? And I would kind of say Crystal Isles as well. Kind of sad that they removed it when it got an official release, but I guess it might have been a little bit on the OP side to have Rock Drakes on some other maps as well. It means more people can get their hands on them, but I kind of did prefer it that way as well. But, you know, they really do fit to their original map, Operation, and they're pretty much like the only real good method of travel on that map. Just no questions asked whatsoever. They are the creature you want, and there's no real replacement to them on Operation, which really does solidify their place in being completely built into that map very well. And obviously they've got a really cool model design. Their abilities are cool and inventive. Pretty sure it was the first like Ark glider that you would ride on. I know the Archaeopteryx came before, but that doesn't really count because yeah, it just doesn't count. So I'm going to stop talking about that. But I'm pretty sure it kind of started the trend of gliders, and it really does just work with Operation. If you've ever used a Rock Drake on Operation, you know how fun these things are to use and how good these things are to use. And also, they have a lot of damage as well. Pretty good for bosses, and you can choose Rockwell with this and some Lazarus Chowder if you ever want to do that, because that's actually kind of fun and nice and a little bit hilarious as well. So if you've never done that before, I would definitely recommend you go out there and do this at some point, because, you know, there are just so many things you can do with the Rock Drake, and choosing Rockwell should be one on your go-to tick-off list. Next up, we've got the RG, and I kind of just have to put this thing here as it just fits into the island so well, and I could not imagine the island without the RG. And I think that this creature with great nostalgia. Obviously, when I look at that old RG model, the new one is far better. I do not want the old one back, but, you know, there's always something about the old RG model which just, it really makes me realise how much I love this creature and just how well fitted it is to this map, and kind of any mountain biome you could say as well, because can you imagine just a mountain in Ark and then without RGs? No, because you're constantly on the lookout for RGs, just like, I want to avoid the RGs, or I'm going to go tame an RG. It's just such a crucial step of someone's playthrough on the island, and I'm kind of valuing the island over all other maps because it's the map that people start on, and it's the map that every single Ark player has access to, and every single Ark player does have access to an RG. So really, at some point, if you have never done it before, get yourself an RG. They are packed full of cool abilities, like their regen. If they kill something and they eat it, they also have a smithy for their saddle, so you can really just like repair anything that you'll need in terms of flak related stuff or metal gear if you're out on a metal run, or doing any caving, because you might want to repair your armor, because Arthropleuras are really annoying and they'll break your armor, and this will help out so much. So really do tame yourself an RG, and it also, if you want metal and you like metal, the RG is going to be perfect for you. It's got weight reduction on things like metal, crystal, and obsidian. In at number 3, we've got the Desmodus, and it really does just fit the Nordic theme of Fjorda, doesn't it? And also, it's really a great creature, and it's borderline too OP, but it works. It can't pick up Rexes or anything stupid like that, like the Ranoganatha. It can farm blood bags and make Sanguine Elixir, and it's like when you got the Valentine's Day event anyway, you kind of had something similar to that, but now you just have it all the time. And I actually really do like it, and it is so good for official players, because that can be a little bit grueling sometimes to tame something, and you know, it kind of takes the edge off of it. For single player, it doesn't really matter as much, but you know, it makes it a little bit more fun and more appealing. These things also do have night vision, but because I was in the Wasteland Environment Extinction, nighttime never happens, so I could not show you them going invisible nighttime. I'm pretty sure they have like a night vision thingy as well. They might not, they might. I might have said that wrong, but either way, they can go invisible in the nighttime, and I didn't show it because there's no nighttime here. I should have probably just gone to one of the domes, really. At number 2, we have got the Shadowman, and what this creature, man, it just, when I think of Gen 2, I think of the Shadowman. It's so rooted in its map, it's kind of insane. And when thinking of Rockwell's Garden, you think of this creature, and I guess I'll chuck the Noglin in here as well, and maybe even the Bulldog and other creatures like that, because they are so fitted to like the maps like Arboration and Gen 2. You really just can't imagine the maps without them, and the Noglin is a better example than the Bulldog, because the Bulldog's an Arboration, and you can't think of Rockwell's Innards without the Noglin. It's just a mind-controlling like little critter, you could say, and it fits perfectly. And so does the Shadowman for Rockwell's Garden. You could consider the Maywing a little bit as well, although I think it doesn't quite fit in as well as these creatures, because I don't really know. I don't really have a valid answer to back that up, but I really think these do. And Shadowman and Noglin are just packed full of really cool, fun abilities. And Shadowman is a really great boss creature, so if you're thinking of doing Rockwell on that map, probably do it with Shadowmanes, because it will feel authentic enough and it will be fun. And in at number 1, we have got the Reaper, and the Reaper kind of just had to be here, didn't it? When you think of the Reaper, you really do think of Arboration. It's so perfectly suited to its map. It's actually a little bit crazy to think about, at least for me, because it's so rooted in its map and it fits perfectly. Like, there's no issues whatsoever with this creature fitting into its map. It's just, it is like A+, gold star, 5 out of 5, boom, it has done it. It is the most like natural creature to a map. Coming back to that title, that's kind of the context of meaning that I meant. It's the most kind of natural feeling creature, and also it's a really cool inventive one as well. Its tame methods, it gets you impregnated and then you get loads of XP to get 100% effectiveness, of course, not necessary. And then once it's actually been born, then you need the pheromones so it won't kill you, which is that's another kind of cool feature, but you know, it is a little bit frustrating sometimes. But once you have one, you literally feel like a god, and it makes sense. Like, the progression of getting one of these things on Arboration is insane. In Gen 2, it's a little bit overthrown because they're so easy to tame, but I can admit the R Reaper is really a good one as well. You should be getting an R Reaper if you can over the original, but I'd recommend taming it on Arboration first, because on Gen 2 it kind of spoils the fun just a little bit. But anyway, that is the end of today's video, and I really hope that you all enjoyed, as I really did enjoy making this one. And as always, comment down below what is the most natural creature to you. If you didn't agree with this list, comment down below your top 10 natural art creatures, and I'll see you all later.